an emotionally charged novel that will resonate with anyone who has ever rooted for or felt like the villain. We are happy to be joined by Laurie Devore, author of The Villain Edit. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So you are a Low Country local. You live here, right?
Yes.
So this is not your first book.
It's actually my fourth book, my first for adult readers.
Okay, so the other ones have been more geared towards?
They're young adult novels, so towards like high school age.
Yeah. And so does living in Charleston or growing up in South Carolina have any influence on your writing?
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's really important for me, for all my characters to be from South Carolina, even if the novel isn't necessarily set there. I think because I've read a lot of novels where Southerners can be really stereotyped, and I feel like, you know, like having these modern Southerners and showing a different side to people from South Carolina is really important to me. Yeah.
So this is your first novel for adults?
Yes.
So tell me about what's on those pages.
Yes. So The Villain Edit is about Jack, who is a sort of failed romance novelist, and she decides that in order to revive her career, she's going to go on a Bachelor-like reality show to sell books, essentially. So she is there for the wrong reasons. But when she gets there, she finds she has some attraction to the main male character, but there's also a producer that she has some attraction to, so you end up with a little bit of a love triangle. But it's also very much about how Jack sort of accidentally becomes the villain of the season and realizes the producers are setting her up for that. And one thing I think is interesting about the book is it's an examination of pop culture and the way that we as viewers consume it too, because there are alternating chapters where you get to see how people are reacting to the show as it airs. So I think it's a little bit in conversation with the character too, of, you know, what's happening in real life, and then how is everyone viewing that, and how is that being manipulated to make viewers feel a certain way, and kind of examining like how we treat women in pop culture a lot of times, I think.
So The Villain Edit, and for anyone who's ever watched a reality show, you know, there's always a villain, whether they're really a villain or whether they get a bad edit. But this is also very timely with like the reality TV component.
Yeah.
What inspired you to write a book about something like this?
I've always loved reality TV. I like to say it's a common language for women a lot of times, I think, is, you know, you meet someone new, you are kind of trying to figure out what you have in common, and you say, hey, have you seen the new season of Love is Blind? And that can instantly start a conversation. So I think that's why I've always loved reality TV, and then getting to bring that element and writing about it and kind of examining the different pieces of it. There was a show quite a few years ago called Unreal that a Bachelor producer made that was about how The Bachelor was produced behind the scenes and just how manipulated it was, and I thought that was really fascinating too. So sort of combining those two elements, and that's where this came from, I think. Yeah.
Do you think, this being your first novel geared towards adults, how did the writing process differ from your past books?
Honestly, it was a pretty natural growth for me, I think. I sort of feel like I had reached the natural end to writing about younger characters. Like I said, I started doing that when I was 22 probably, so I still was very much in that headspace, and I had kind of drifted further and further away from that. So it was a pretty easy transition, honestly. Yeah.
And so this book just came out like last week, right?
Correct.
And now where can our viewers purchase this book but also keep up with you?
Sure. Really anywhere books are sold, even if they don't have it in stock right now, they can order you a copy, but you can also go to Laurie Devore, LaurieDevore.com. And there's buy links for anything. Your local indies are there. If you want to support Amazon, that's there, and Barnes & Noble. So anywhere you want to buy it from, you can find it on my website.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, this is your newest book out of, this is your fourth book.
Yes.
So absolutely we need to add this on our summer read list. I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We're back in 2 minutes.